Familiar location? Well, it really ought to be. I first showed you the Mercedes-Benz GLC in this very spot back in 2015. We came here again a year later to take a look at the GLC Coupe. So it seems only fitting that a few years on we return once more to look at the next generation of Mercedes-Benz SUV, the all-electric EQC. So why the reference to the GLC reviews? Well, the EQC, while uniquely designed, shares plenty of components with the GLC. So much so that it's built in the same factory. But the main reason is, if you saw our great videos and went out and bought a GLC, then this car might very well be your next step, making a leap to electric a reasonably familiar one. In this review, we'll take a look at the car's style and design. We'll check out the size and usability of the boot, the rear seat space and comfort, and of course the technology available to you while driving up front. We'll then hit the road to see how that electric drivetrain works and find out what the EQC is like to drive. Plus, if you hang out until the end of the clip, I'll show you a great feature that shows the future of driving can continue well after the car has been parked. As always, hit subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all the latest automotive news and reviews, and don't forget to click the bell to make sure your inbox lights up every time we publish a video. The Mercedes-Benz EQC is priced from $137,900 before options and on-road costs. Now this puts it high in the range between the GLC 43 and 63 AMG models. In terms of style, the EQC has tried to remain familiar while being quite different. It's definitely a Mercedes and looks a little bit like a GLC, but it's longer, lower, and uses entirely new body panels and trim elements. The result is a modern-looking car that doesn't shock you with a bold, futuristic statement. For the record, our car is finished in brilliant blue metallic, which is one of 10 colour options available. Some of the new bits are really cool too. Check out the full-width LED at the back and at the front. Plus those optional 21-inch wheels are absolutely stunning. Under here is, well, a large plastic panel that covers up the power control and accessory systems. The 80 kilowatt-hour battery is built into the floor of the car, and there's a 150 kilowatt motor at each axle. That gives the EQC a 300 kilowatt, 760 newton meter output, which is more than the sporty AMG GLC 43. Mercedes-Benz claim the EQC has a maximum range of around 430 kilometres, but the real-world urban range is somewhere between 350 and 400k. They're not the best in the game by any stretch, but arguably more than you'd need each day for most urban duties. And really, even if you filled it up once a week, it'd probably see you through. You can charge it up using the ChargeFox public network, with speeds and times depending on your specific station. Or negotiate a Mercedes wallbox into your purchase deal to make at-home charging as convenient as possible. A hands-free kicker is standard, revealing a 500 litre boot, which is down from the 550 litres you'll find in a regular GLC, but actually up from the 395 litres that is in the GLC 300e hybrid. Because here, you still get the handy underfloor storage for the good old Mercedes fruit crate, 5 fluoro minions, and of course, your home charger. Now if you need more room, the seats fold down 40-20-40 to offer 1460 litres. Now I assume you can still see me because it is actually quite dark back here. That said, I am pretty comfortable with good knee and toe room, although my hair is scraping the roof thanks to that swoopier roofline. For context though, I am 6'3" and this seat is in my driving position. That said, it is still quite familiar back here with air vents, a pair of USB-C charge points, Isofix mounting points, centre armrest with storage bin, and cup holders, just like in a regular GLC. Well, the view from the driver's seat is very much modern Mercedes-Benz luxury. These seats are comfortable and adjustable. These ones even have ventilation. And most of the switchgear, including the steering wheel, column shift stalk, and centre console, are straight out of the rest of the Mercedes-Benz family. The brilliant twin 10.25-inch displays are what you'll find across the newer Mercedes lineup, as is the chatty virtual assistant who seems to butt in every time you mention the word Mercedes.
How may I help you?
The dash itself, though, is unique. These cool copper inserts and step design is where the EQC sits apart. Even some of the materials are quite special. This top dash fabric is made from recycled ocean plastics. That's pretty cool. Now, you may have seen that there are plenty of buttons and gizmos around the EQC. The good news is, most of this is standard equipment. In fact, the option set for the car is basically trim and personalisation. The core equipment levels are very high. There's the latest driver assistance tech, which includes Distronic adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot and lane keeping assistant. The 13-speaker Burmeister stereo, wireless phone charger, sunroof and all the functionality of the MBUX infotainment system, including DAB radio, Apple CarPlay and Mercedes Me telemetry support, are all part of the package. Being an EV, you can monitor your energy usage and regeneration pattern. Plus, there's this cool range cloud that shows up on the navigation map that identifies just how far you can get with your current state of charge. Vroom. Well, first impressions, the EQC feels just like a really quiet GLC. The visibility, ergonomics and driving position all feel very familiar. Now, the ride is firm, as you'd expect on these big wheels, but it's never not comfortable. The car's fitted with airbag suspension at the back and conventional springs up front, meaning that you'll feel the up more than the down of speed humps and the like. But it feels really settled, quite possibly because it's very heavy. It's 600 kilos more than a regular GLC, weighing in at a solid 2.5 tonnes. Now, performance-wise, there's nothing quite like the pickup of an EV. Stab the throttle, and the EQC rapidly gathers pace. Lift off again, and you can feel the friction of the regenerative braking working to charge the battery up again. It's pretty cool, and that pickup is very addictive. Even coasting down a hill like this, you get used to the fact that the car's going to slow itself down and help charge the battery back up again. And while silently blasting past pretty much everybody, this thing's good for a 5.1 second sprint to 100, can be quite addictive. I think you'll find, like me, you actually get really used to and eager to squeeze every possible kilometre of range out of the battery, and you'll find your driving style works to, I guess, be economical with the EV. It's kind of weird because it's a very familiar surround, but a very different way of driving. And I've got to say, if this is the future, it's going to be fun. Now, we've spoken about the inclusion of the driver assistance systems, which are great on a touring drive, but you get that in a normal GLC as well. And it is actually a really easy transition to make from a conventional petrol-driven or diesel-driven car to the electric one, particularly in this format. And I guess this is what we're trying to work out here, is having the familiar surrounds, is that going to be the easiest way for people to understand where the electric car fits in? So for any of you out there who may have the apprehension or maybe a sense of unknown about driving an EV, if you can drive a regular GLC, you can drive this. And that is the baseline rule to go with. Now, earlier I promised to show you a really cool feature of the EQC, but it's not actually in the car, it's here. The Mercedes Me app allows you to remotely access the car, send directions and check on your status. It's cool, but it's not new. But here, you can also set up and configure your personalised driver profile. You can change your seat option, even the lighting design, ready for your next trip. The best bit is, your profile adapts over time, depending on how and where you drive, even what music you listen to, which for me is mildly concerning. Well, cool gadgets aside, what's the verdict on the EQC? Well, the functional layout, tech and general usability of the car make it a natural step for existing GLC or even other SUV owners to an electric platform. But it is heavy not a standout in terms of range, and certainly no budget leader, especially when you consider that much of that interior is shared with what would be a 5-year-old GLC. That said, it does slot neatly into the Mercedes SUV range hierarchy in terms of both specification and performance. But it is still the early days of the electric revolution. And if you want your transition to an EV to be an easy one, then the Mercedes-Benz EQC makes that journey very familiar. To find out more about the Mercedes-Benz EQC or other electric cars, you can read all about it on caradvice.com. Don't forget to hit subscribe to stay up to date with all our latest videos. And of course, if you've got any questions or suggestions, hit us up in the comments below.